this organization, or these Wednesday wake-up calls have been organized by a local grassroots organization, Indivisible Common Ground, also now connected with OFA. And the group calls itself Indivisible Common Ground, OFA, WNC. So that's a mouthful. But it's a number of grassroots organizations decided to come together in the early 2017, and then anybody, you don't have to be a member of this group or anything. Woohoo! You don't have to be a member of the group. We just invite everybody who wants to come and say, let's wake up to this, let's wake up to that. Here are our concerns. We have picked different concerns depending on what seems to be most in the national or local conversation each week. And this week we chose to, we've talked before, we had a wake-up call about, shortly after a Wednesday, shortly after the Parkland shooting in Florida, the school in Florida. And we are revisiting that today to say, let's step up and do all that we can, all that needs to be done, so that we don't have any more mass shootings, or maybe everything is imperfect, and so we reduce mass shootings, especially in our schools, as much as possible. So, you and I were talking a few minutes ago, and you said that you were interested in what we're doing about gun violence, and I said, well, it's not, and this is me speaking how I have approached this issue, it's not so much about gun control. It's not about gun control, but it is about gun violence. And there are, as we've seen in the news lately, we're revisiting, there's so many different things to do to help reduce gun violence. And I think what keeps so many people who could talk about some common ground issues and make some changes to, as my sign says, let's end or reduce these mass shootings. We could talk about healthcare. What do schools need? What do families need in order to raise up their children in more healthy ways? For me, individually, it is important that we also look at the actual weapons that are most frequently used and the access to those weapons. So I think there is, as many people will talk about, common sense gun laws that we could have. But if somebody doesn't want to approach that issue at all, they can still do something to help end mass shootings in America. I mean, who doesn't care about mental health? Who doesn't care about family dynamics? Who doesn't care about quality of education and the safety of school buildings? So that's why I see this as such a broad issue. This is about how to bring more nonviolence into so many parts, through so many ways in our country. And I don't know that I speak for everybody here holding their signs today, but I know we are all in sync about what matters most to us in this country. These are social concerns, moral concerns, and they have political implications. And then it's up to each person to decide, well, if I think this is important, if I think we should reduce mass violence in this way, then I will eventually look to who are the politicians who are supposedly governing our county, state, country, and decide who I think most shares that value and will move forward on it.
And this is a kind of a topic that I guess I'm passionate about, because I just don't believe that kids should be getting shot on a regular basis in their schools, and I just believe that if you need a driver's license to own a car, and you need home insurance to own a home, then you should have something to own a gun, and just a little bit more security for the rest of us who are not gun owners. I suppose in a rural place like Sylva or in western North Carolina, it's a little bit more prevalent. So when I was driving here, I did see a pickup truck with a Confederate flag, and there are lots of people like that who believe that the Second Amendment is sacred for them, but I believe that life is also sacred, and that you know, their Second Amendment shouldn't trump our right to live. And I just believe that it's good to stand here and just let people know that there are people in the county that are opposed to gun violence, even though we might not. And actually, we've gotten quite a few thumbs up and honks, which is a good thing. So and we have other issues that we deal with. I mean, I think in a few weeks we're going to be doing immigration. So we haven't really done very much about gun violence here because we know that it's not a very popular topic, and they were stood out here for gun violence once and it didn't go very well, what I heard. But I think that we should still stand up for it. So my sister is here, who's visiting from France, and they don't even own guns over there, so I think she's pretty shocked at the prevalence of guns in this country. And originally I'm from India, and we don't really walk around with guns. I mean, what really is abhorrent to me is, what do they call it, where they carry it openly, which we do have. Not so much over here, but I've seen it. To me, it's really scary to see someone walking around with a semi-automatic gun. You wonder, like, what's going to happen one day if he just has a bad day. So, that's my take on gun violence.